Visibility does not create authority. It reveals whether authority was ever structurally sound. In the last episode, I introduced the authority assessment framework and the 5 silent gates through which leaders are judged long before they're endorsed. Today, we're addressing a pattern I see repeatedly across sectors, industries, and geographies. Leaders increase visibility before authority has cleared the gates. And when scrutiny intensifies, something unexpected happens. Momentum stalls, perception fractures, confidence erodes. Not because the leader lacked capability, but because exposure accelerated an unfinished assessment. This episode is not about social media. It is not about branding. It is not about communication strategy. It is about structural readiness. Visibility is not neutral. It is an amplifier. If authority is coherent, it compounds. If authority is misaligned, it collapses faster. Let's examine why. The myth of visibility as progress. Many senior leaders equate increased exposure with upward trajectory. More invitations, more panels, more articles, more public commentary. It feels like advancement. But institutions do not interpret visibility emotionally. They interpret it diagnostically. When visibility increases, assessment intensifies. People begin asking, does this leader's mandate support this level of voice? Does their internal reputation align with their external narrative? Are they exercising disciplined judgment or seeking attention? Visibility is not the reward. It is the test. And here's the hard truth. If authority has not cleared gate 1, mandate clarity, visibility triggers skepticism. If the scope of your voice exceeds the scope of your responsibility, systems detect inflation, even when no one says it aloud. Authority stalls quietly, where visibility collides with the 5 gates. Let's examine how premature visibility interacts with each gate. Gate 1, mandate clarity. When leaders speak beyond mandate, institutions perceive risk. This is not about competence. It is about containment. If a leader's public positioning expands faster than their formal authority, questions emerge. Who authorized this voice? Who carries the consequence? Is this aligned with institutional boundaries? Misalignment here doesn't produce confrontation. It produces distance. Visibility without mandate precision signals instability. Gate 2, coherence. Visibility multiplies touch points. More speeches, more interviews, more digital footprint. Incoherence that was previously manageable becomes visible. Contradictions accumulate. A CV that says operator paired with a public persona of visionary. A leader described internally as cautious, but externally positioned as bold. Values stated publicly that are not mirrored in private decision-making. When coherence fractures under visibility, trust does not erode dramatically. It erodes incrementally. And incremental erosion is more dangerous because it's rarely corrected in time. Gate 3, judgment. Visibility pressures leaders to comment on trends, on crises, on geopolitical shifts, on institutional controversies. But authority is not measured by how often you speak. It is measured by how precisely you decide when not to. When leaders expand commentary beyond their judgment bandwidth, institutions notice. They observe, does this leader escalate unnecessarily? Do they overreact publicly? Do they show emotional volatility under uncertainty? Do they speak before data stabilizes? Judgment is most visible under speed, and visibility often compresses time. If judgment has not matured, exposure accelerates disqualification. Gate 4. Endurance under scrutiny. Scrutiny intensifies proportionally with exposure. Increased visibility invites deeper background checks, more detailed reference conversations, expanded stakeholder triangulation. If earlier gates are weak, scrutiny doesn't create failure. It services what was latent. Financial inconsistencies, governance gaps, decision patterns that were tolerated internally but become indefensible externally. Leaders often say, "I was fine until I became more visible." No, you were untested until you became more visible. There is a difference. Gate 5. Trust transfer. This is where visibility can quietly derail institutional endorsement. When a board, funder, or partner considers attaching their credibility to yours, they ask, if we elevate this leader, does confidence compound or does risk multiply? Premature visibility complicates this decision. If perception is unstable, institutions delay endorsement, not because they oppose you, but because they cannot confidently transfer trust to you. Trust transfer requires predictability. Visibility without structural stability introduces volatility, and institutions are designed to avoid volatility. Why high-performing leaders misread this. High-capacity leaders are particularly vulnerable to visibility miscalculation because performance reinforces confidence. You deliver results, you manage complexity, you're sought after internally. It feels logical to increase external presence. But performance and authority are not identical. Performance is output-based. Authority is perception-based. One can be exceptional and still structurally misaligned under scrutiny. This is where many leaders experience confusion. I am more capable than ever. Why is traction slowing? Because visibility accelerated assessment beyond structural readiness. Authority does not scale linearly with exposure. It scales with coherence. Strategic implications. This is not an argument against visibility. It is an argument for sequencing. Visibility should follow structural clearance of the gates, not precede it. Before increasing exposure, leaders should be able to answer, is my mandate precisely defined and defensible? Is my story coherent across all environments? Is my judgment pattern observable and disciplined? Would deeper scrutiny strengthen rather than destabilize perception? Can institutions safely transfer trust to me at higher altitude? If the answer to any one of these is unstable, visibility is premature. The disciplined leader does not rush amplification. They reinforce structure. They align mandate. They tighten coherence. They refine judgment. They stress test under controlled scrutiny. Only then does visibility compound. Premature exposure feels productive. Prepared exposure becomes durable. Visibility is not the goal. Authority that holds under scrutiny is the goal. In the next episode, we'll examine why some leaders are trusted instinctively, even before they speak, and why coherence, not charisma, determines that response. For now, consider this. If your visibility doubled tomorrow, would your authority strengthen or strain? That question is diagnostic. This is the Authority Advantage podcast, teaching how authority actually works. If this framework is clarifying something you've experienced but couldn't previously name, reach out for an authority diagnostic in the episode notes. Until next time.